Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Uncorked with Funny Wine Girl. This is Funny Wine Girl, aka Janine Luby, and it is the end of June. And I've been talking about summer vacation things to do in Scranton in northeastern Pennsylvania because that is where I'm located. So maybe not so much vacation as a staycation, or if you've got friends or family coming to town to visit. So we've been talking about some fond memories I've had of the area during the summertime as a kid, places and things I like to see, and where I would suggest that you take visitors or even check out yourself. There are many different gems here in Scranton and Northeast PA that people who live here sometimes just forget that we've got some great stuff here. So take a listen to those if you haven't heard my previous podcast this month. We talked, like I said, a lot about things to do for the summer. Last week, my guest was Tammy Masevich Healy, who is a safety expert. She talked about things that sometimes we know but we don't know the full extent. She talked about things to be aware of over the summer for our safety: the sun, the heat, water safety, different things like that. And before I start, I'm going to have a little bit of a break in July and then get into a sizzling kind of summer with some pretty hot topics that I hope to wrangle the guests in. It should be good. But I want to close out June with my dear friend and also client. I edit her novels, her steamy romance novels. Author Tina Gallagher. She had the pleasure of, God love this poor woman, the things she has to do to write. She had to go all the way to Italy, and she went on a lovely writer's retreat. So we're going to hear about her vacation that was work but also fun. So welcome back to the podcast, Tina. How are you?
Thank you. I am doing very well.
You should be. I mean, this woman, she's home from, from Italy, her little trip to Italy, and then she's off to London for another writer's workshop.
Yeah.
Oh, yawn.
As I say, my life is not this interesting. That's what I keep telling people. I'm not usually a jet setter, but that's the way it's working this year.
Was going to say this summer it seems pretty damn interesting. It's like my big day was I went to Luzerne
Yeah.
County. I'm back in Lackawanna. Woohoo! I brought a juice box for that long ride. So let's tell people, okay, so if it, in case you haven't listened before, Tina Gallagher writes many different romance novels, but her recent series was The Carolina Waves, about a bunch of hot baseball players falling in love. And she wrapped that series up and she's about to launch her new series. But she went to Italy, got to be inspired with a lot of other writers, and she's going to London where she'll get to be surrounded by more writers. Do you want to tell us First, you want to tell us a little bit about what's coming up next for you, your series, and then let's talk about the writers aspect, the work part of your trip to Italy.
Yeah, as you said, I finished up my Carolina Wave series. The last book in that series was titled Foul Pole, and it was about the baseball player from the Carolina Waves, and he fell in love with a pole dance studio owner, a pole dance fitness studio owner, which kind of leads right into my next series, which is about the pole dance studio, the people at the pole dance studio. And with these books, I really want, I do pole dance fitness. And, it's really it's a great environment, very inclusive environment. And I really wanted to write some books about that. So these books are going to be really about the women and their journeys as they take pole dance and how it helps them with their confidence and how it helps them, just in their everyday lives, beyond the fitness aspect. And
Well,
that'll be launching in August.
in August, right? So people can watch for mid to late August, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Pretty much. What I love, I mean, I love the whole aspect, the empowerment. You took the pole dancing, so it's again something you're really familiar with that you could write about.
Right.
What I love about this as a Scranton girl is that this is a lot of your references is going to be based in Scranton.
Yes.
And hopefully, what I'm hoping for in July, if I can get a hold of them and our schedules work out, I'd love to have on the podcast the women who own the pole dance studio. It's called High Priestess Pole Studio, and it's on Spruce in downtown Scranton. And like Tina said, that what they're doing is great. It's very empowering. And before we get into the Italy workshop and the trip, you've taken pole dancing for a while now, and I know that's what motivated you from the women that you met had such an influence on you. That's why you wanted to write
Yeah.
the series.
Yeah.
For you personally, like, I know I went to one open house with you, and first of all, I'm like, it's difficult.
It is
And
difficult.
it's difficult. And I saw myself in that mirror and I'm like, oh God, no. And I was talking to Anjanette last June. I stopped in for First Friday and she's like, no, she's very like, no, don't see yourself like that. Like, she really wants you to see yourself beautifully. But how did that change for you? How did you change? Did you change your views about yourself as you're like doing this work, this pole dance work?
I did. And yeah, I've been taking it, well, I'll say on and off now with the pandemic for 4 years. I'm definitely not where I should be. It should be, just because I did take some time off with the pandemic. But I'll tell you one thing. When I first started going there, I walked in with, you have to wear shorts. You need your skin to kind of climb the pole and help stick to the pole. I wore my shorts and I wore my tank top, which was, as much as I could wear. I would have gone in there in a parka if I could have, but I couldn't. So I walked in there and, after, you're kind of nervous, you're kind of shy. I'm a bigger girl. I've always been a bigger girl. I've always felt that, oh, I wish I was this way, or I wish I was that way. And I'll tell you, with taking the pole dance, I really learned to appreciate my body for its strength and what it can do as opposed to what it looks like. And I am strong. I always say there's muscles under the fat. So I am strong. And the pole dance just really made me stronger. And I really appreciated what I was able to do and what I was able to accomplish on the pole. And as the months went on and the years went on, I was the one walking in the little pole shorts with the little like sports bra, we're walking, first starting off in shorts and then taking them off for what I had to do. And Anjanette was one of the ones, she was teaching a class. I remember it specifically. I think it was about 3 or 4 months into my pole dance fitness journey. And we had to do a thing where you kind of put the pole on your back and you need your skin to kind of like lift yourself up that way, pushing the pole in and lifting yourself up that way. And I had a tank top on and it wasn't working because I was slipping because of the material of the tank top. And she stopped there and looked at me. She's like, would you just take the damn tank top off? And I was like, oh my gosh, I can't do this. And like, she's like, nobody cares. Like nobody. And that's one, like, I never, Planet Fitness says they're the no judgment zone. Like, I totally feel, comfortable with these people, in the pole dance. Like, nobody looks at you and is like, oh my God, look at her stomach, or oh my God. They're more so like, look at what you're doing. Like, look what you just did. Like, you just climbed the pole, or and no matter what you're doing, or, these people make it look so easy. I would say, especially with Anjanette, she looks like she's floating up the pole. I look like I'm like, but I do it. I get up there and I still do it, and I still do the things. I don't look as graceful as some people, but you could still, it's the accomplishment of it. And they celebrate every accomplishment, big and small, and there really is no judgment. It's really a great environment.
So that's awesome. And I mean, that's the perfect kind of place to, I mean, I love that. Like, I know myself just from that open house. I'm of course looking at myself in the mirror, judging like, oh God, I don't look sexy at all. But like, that was like 15 minutes of doing something. And it was difficult and it does take strength. So I can imagine after continuing to go, I'm sure my mind would change too. And you get more confident and you learn a lot and you get comfortable with it. And I love with them being so supportive.
Yeah.
It's obvious that you would get that kind of supportive network that you need. So I look forward to, I'm actually Tina's editor. So I look forward to editing the book that I'm waiting on, and we'll get that. Tina will have that out in August. So watch for that, but also wait for in the coming weeks. Like I said, I hope to connect with the girls at High Priestess and have them on the show as well. And they are on Spruce Street in downtown Scranton if you want to check them out. Or if you don't live in Scranton, there are many pole studios, I would imagine, around the country. It's a great workout. It's empowering. So check that out. But let's get back to your writing journey. So you had signed up to do this workshop or retreat. I guess it was more of a retreat. So you went over to Italy. So let's talk briefly about the business aspect of it. So you're there, you're with other writers from pretty much all over. Is that true?
All over. Yeah, it was, there was somebody there from Holland, Portugal, Texas, California. The person who organized the retreat, she's actually a part-time wedding planner. Gradually more and more part-time as her writing takes off. But she's originally from Ireland, but she now lives in Italy, and she has 3 books out entitled A Rosy Life in Italy. Her name's Rosie, and about her journey moving to a country where she doesn't speak the language, and just fell fell in love with it. So people were from all over the world, really.
So did you like learn from each other, or was it meant to be time to like be inspired by where you were, like what you were seeing, or how did that work?
Pretty much both of those things. It was, time to kind of regroup, relax, see Italy a little bit. But anytime, we all get together, writers get together, you start talking about, what you do and how you do it, and, marketing and writing, and how do you plot things out? Do you plot things out? What inspires you? What works, what doesn't? So obviously, we had time to talk to that, but there were no formal sessions like this thing I'm going to in London. It's a formal conference where you're going and you're listening to speakers. This wasn't anything like that. It was more so, we had some time to write, we had some time to chit chat with each other, and we did tours all over Italy, or well, all over the Tuscany area, I guess I should say.
Okay. So that's where you were, primarily in the Tuscany area?
In Tuscany. We were staying in the villa we stayed in was in Umbria, which is right next to Tuscany. We ventured out about an hour from where we were at, but we were kind of in that one location. Yeah.
Okay. So would you say, was there an issue? I know for listeners who are thinking, wow, she's adventurous. Tina is adventurous, but she did plan. She planned ahead. She did do some classes where you took Italian
I
in
did.
local Northampton, right, college. And then you were also
Northampton Community
learning.
College, yeah.
You were learning from a gentleman who owns a winery
A
and
wine, yeah, Vito's wine cellar down in Pittston. He was
down in
doing
Pittston,
Italian
right? So
classes,
you
yeah.
you got the conversational aspect of it. So
Mhm.
how did that play out for you? Did it was probably different putting it to work,
Oh,
right?
absolutely. And once they start speaking so quickly, you stand there with a blank look on your face. But I was able to read signs, and I was able to read the menus. And um, one thing that was really good that I found very helpful was, I do have the Translate app on my phone. And so that when I did translate something, I actually know how to say it. So I knew the pronunciation, like theirs is opposite of ours, like where you have a C. If you have a plain C, it's a ch sound, but if you have a ch, it's a k sound. Like, so it's just, even knowing things like that was very helpful. I didn't look at it and, my eyes didn't cross, like, how do I say this? Like, I actually knew how to speak. So I was actually able to, um, say something to someone and then hopefully understand what they're saying. A lot of them do speak English out there, so that was helpful. But I was able to. I was actually with my friend Cecilia Mecca, who, it's funny, there's people from all over the world, and two of us from this area. She's also an author, a local author. Were there, so we were there in Florence a couple days ahead of time, and together, and we needed a cab to the airport to meet up with the shuttle that was taking us to the actual retreat in Umbria. And I went up and I asked what they asked how much it cost to go to the airport. And she said Trenta, so I knew that was 30. Like, at least I understood. So it was very helpful. So I didn't go in totally blind, but I am not an expert by any means. I definitely need help with my Italian.
Well, and I took a semester of French, 4 years in high school, a semester in college. I have went to France a few times and I made those friends, but I could tell you that it's still a struggle unless you're speaking it on a regular basis, excuse me, in
Mhm.
conversation. It's so, I mean, yeah, I can imagine. And you had you did it two semesters, right?
I
Basically
did two
back to back.
semesters, yeah, and then I started taking the things down at Vito's, I think in February. And he did more conversational. So it's hard. So now down at Northampton Community College, there is going to be a third, there's a third, an Italian 3, which is what it would be. So I think I'm going to take it. It starts in the fall, just because I figure, why lose what I've learned? I might as well try to keep going with it. And I know Rosie plans on doing this retreat every year, so as long as I can swing it, I'm definitely in for it, because it was it's just always nice to spend time with authors, and you know just not just talk writing, but just even just kind of absorb that energy. It was kind of nice.
And these are, I mean, not that it has to be, because I know a lot of the retreats or workshops you go to are a mix, but these were mostly women, I believe, right? In this
These were all
particular,
women, yeah.
yeah.
I believe there were a couple men signed up for this. There were 13 people at the retreat this time. There were 22 people originally signed up, but 9 ended up canceling for various reasons, health reasons, COVID reasons, whatever, whatever. But actually 13 was a good number. She's doing 2 retreats next year, and she's limiting them to 16 because she thinks 22 would be too large, actually, because you want
Mhm.
that small intimate group, where you don't want to have to break up into 2 groups all the time to do different things, so.
Yeah. And so it sounds like the next one you're going to in London is more what you think of when you think of conferences and
Correct.
the regular speakers. But this is, I mean, I'm sure there's something to be gained, obviously, from both of these, because you have a lot, things you can learn, and you're learning from people in the industry. But with this, it's more intimate. You can have that one-on-one conversation with
Right.
people and learn. So was there anything in particular that you took away? Maybe even a mix of things that you heard from different people, different authors that really made you go, okay, that's like I don't want to say cliche aha moment, but something that really struck a chord with you.
Nothing in particular with the writing. One thing I learned, I don't want to say I learned a lot about, because there's this, but was about like screenplays, like production of, because that's always an author's dream, is to have their, books made into movies, kind of thing. But the one girl actually comes from a production background, so she was kind of telling us about that. So I have a lot of notes about that. That was really eye-opening to me, interesting, because I could never understand, scripts for movies are like 25 pages long or something. I never understood, how do you do that? My books are 400 pages long. How do you get all that into that little 25 pages? And she explained a lot of that, and that was very useful. But with the writing, there was no real aha moment. I was actually helping the author with with marketing, and helping her. She had never done Facebook ads and things like that, so I was kind of helping her with that. But one thing was really nice. This whole thing, if you've ever heard of Clubhouse, this all started at a Clubhouse. There's during COVID, they 2 women started this Clubhouse room. They call it the coffee chat, for authors, really, and it's at 8 o'clock Eastern time. And this, Rosie threw it out there the one day, hey, I plan weddings, would anybody be interested if I planned a retreat? And obviously there's always lots of people interested, and then when it comes down to brass tacks and whatever, there was however many people, and then it dwindled down a little more because of COVID and other issues. And so it's kind of interesting. These are women that I talk, technically talk to almost every day on Clubhouse, but to actually be in person with them, it was really, really interesting.
And so and I know I have it, for those who are listening, Clubhouse is, well, I actually got rid of it, but because I wasn't using it. But for many people like yourself, Clubhouse is an app that you can get on your phone, and it's very valuable because you could be connecting with people from all over,
Yeah.
learning from them, and you could share yourself. You can, get on there and share. So another example, and I'm sure obviously that became really big during the pandemic when we
Yeah.
were all just connecting, staying at home. Another example of how great it is, and we know a lot of downsides of social media and a lot of different negative aspects, but this is one of those really nice positive
Mhm.
aspects where you're connecting with people from all over the world, all over the country,
Yeah.
and here you are getting together in person and sharing. And so that's
Yeah.
really cool that you're able to do that. So let's talk about some of the other fun stuff. So I want to know all about Italy. Now, you had never been, correct?
I
You had
had
not
never been
been.
to Italy, no. And it's really funny because I never had any interest in going to Italy until I was watching Stanley Tucci's Discovering Italy show on CNN. And then I was like, I want to go to Italy and eat my way through the country.
And I don't think you're the only one. I've heard
Yeah.
a lot of different friends of mine who are like, "Oh, I love Stanley Tucci,"
Yeah. Yeah.
and I've watched one episode, but he's likable, he's
He
fun, and
is.
then of
Yeah.
course, if you like food, how could you not sit there and be like, "Oh, I want to go there"?
And it's just different out there. You might not be eating anything so totally different than what you eat here. It's just different. The food is different. It's probably actually better for you than what we have. But the food was the best meal I had there. I'm still standing by the first day Sissy and I were there in Florence. We had this. It was a pork ragu with over those is a pepperdelli pasta, the big thick ribbon pasta, and then they sliced a thin piece of Parmesan cheese and stuck it on top, and it melted over it.
Oh,
It was so good. It was so delicious. And and that's laying a lot, because I had a lot of good meals. A lot of those, there's nothing I love more than like the meats and cheeses, all the meats and cheeses. Give me
give
all the
me
meats and
all
cheeses.
the meats,
The
Jesus.
loans and the super sop,
The charcuterie.
prosciutto, the charcuterie. I love it. And we did that, a lot. Just, you know, either panini with that or, whatnot. The food was just amazing. The bread is amazing. And
Oh,
let's
I
talk the
would
wine.
live on bread. Like,
Yeah.
honestly, for me, and I say this even about France, like, give me a good loaf of bread
Hmm.
and a bottle of wine and some cheese. And I could totally have meals of
Hmm.
that all the time.
Yeah. And the wine, I did not have and I couldn't tell you what kind I was drinking. A lot of it was just the table wine, but it was so good. And then even, we were in the grocery store and I bought a bottle of Chianti that, what do you're picking by the labels? I don't know. Like, I don't know. And I think it was four euros. So, 5.50, something like that. It was delicious. It was still like, so even like a $4 bottle of wine was like really, really good. Yeah, the wine was good. Everything was delicious.
I remember it's very similarly when I did go to France, like, in the grocery store, you pick up, and again, you go by the label. I remember the
Right.
one I liked because it looked like it was like a big mosquito on the label. And I was just like, oh, a fly or whatever the hell it was,
Yeah.
fly a mosquito. I'm like, that looks cute. But again, same thing where you're paying like the equivalent of like $5, $6, $7.
Hmm.
And it's like, it's good. I mean, it's just, I
Fantastic.
don't
Yeah.
think I ever had a bad glass. The thing, you mentioned about the food, and obviously, we think about, oh my gosh, how could they not be overweight over there because they eat such, rich meals. We think of it that way. But I know one of my friends who went said there is a difference in like their pasta. It's like smaller servings and it feels lighter. Is that true? Like more or
Well,
less?
it is, but they do those. Well, they do the preemie course, the secondary course. Like they do all tiny little courses, but they're like small. Like the one we went to a wine tasting at this vineyard the one day, like one of the last days we were there, and we had a couple courses. Like the first course was like bruschetta, so it was like two crostinis with the tomato stuff on it. Then there was like a small salad, and then like the main course was like a big meatball that was about the size of a tennis ball, and there were was like zucchini and other vegetables around it, and that was it for the meal. And it was like, if somebody handed me that here, I'd be like, where's the rest of the meal? Like but I mean, I was full. And I think I said to my husband, like, I didn't feel like, sometimes you eat here and you feel like bloated and you feel like I just want to go. I didn't have that feeling there. Like I felt like every time I ate, however many courses I was eating, I ate it and I felt good. Like I got up, I went, walking around again. So I think that's a lot of it. They eat, smaller portions, and they walk a lot. There was a lot of walking.
A lot
It
of
was
walking.
95 degrees, humid and sunny, and there was a lot of walking.
Oh boy. I hope you stayed hydrated while you were doing that.
Well, that was the thing too. The first day there, I had mentioned as we were talking, I had problems with my feet being swollen over there, especially the first day. And that was part of the problem between coming off the plane, walking, not giving them a chance to rest. And I really hadn't been drinking a lot of water. So after that, I made it a point. And I do like that they have the frizzante water over there, the sparkling water. Like that's like an option. Do you want, flat or sparkling water? I want that option in our restaurants here. I want the sparkling
That
water.
would be nice. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So your first meal was your favorite, you said, even
Yeah.
even with all the different meals that you had, that was your favorite. Did you do like what's the ice cream? The
The gelato. Oh my gosh.
gelato.
Um, the first gelato I had, the first gelato I had was a cookies and cream, which was very, very good.
Mm.
And then we were in this little town, and I got the gelato, the stracciatella, I think it is. It's they have it as a dessert in Italian restaurants. It reminds me of the like the magic shell that for the ice cream, like, or those ice cream sandwich or whatever, the
Yes.
popsicles with the
Yep.
hard coating over it. It's that gelato with those hard pieces of chocolate through it, and that was like phenomenal. It really, that was, and I got that twice.
Oh, that sounds good.
Yeah, it was really good.
Now, do they just have those the gelato? Is that just something like on the street, like vendors, like if you're walking and you could stop and get one, or
No, they had like little shops, and like when we were in Florence, there were a ton of them. They had little like a little ice cream shop. That's all they sold. You just walked in and got that. But the gelato was amazing. And then
I
the
can just
Italian ice,
imagine.
or I forget what they call it over there. Italian ice, that was really good too.
They
I
just call it
had a
ice now.
lemon one. Yeah, they just call it ice.
Flavored ice.
They call it flavored ice, but there's a name for it. I forget what it is, but that was really good as well.
Now, before I hit the record button, you were saying about the different size. You said the men were kind of petite, right? Rather
They're
small.
smaller than here, yeah. And not in, not even in just weight wise, it's in stature, their shoulders aren't as broad, they're not as tall. Um, that's what the men I saw anyway. So
Now, were they? I was going to ask you about stereotypes because you see on sitcoms or the men are cheeky. They're always supposedly like flirting with women and grabbing butts or pinching. I mean, I know we're in the Me Too era, so maybe
yeah,
they stopped that. But did you find that, or is that like were the men very like romantic or like very? I don't know. Did they seem very passionate just from you're walking through the street?
I don't know, they were very gentlemanly. I know a bunch of them opened the doors, and it was really funny as you're saying that. The Sissy and I get off the plane. We landed in Milan, and we go walking off the plane, and it's kind of like through that, like the hallway to get you into the main airport. And there were some guys like sitting there. I guess they were waiting for people. And there was one like Italian guy, probably like in his 30s, and like we're walking and talking, and he's like looking at us, and he's like, like, I don't know if he was like trying to traffic us or what, but like we're like, welcome to Italy, because he was really really good looking, and he's like giving us the look. We're like kind of like a Joey, how you
I
doing
was just gonna
thing.
say, was he doing the how you
Like, how
doing?
you doing? He's like we're like, oh
That's a nice welcome, right?
yeah, we're like, welcome to Italy. It was just that was cute. But they were very uh like I said, opening the doors, and I didn't have anybody pinching my butt or anything.
No pitching of the butts.
No pinching
Okay.
of the butts. They were very gentlemanly, put it that way, or funny, very engaging. Sissy and I both got tattoos over there in Florence. It was her first.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
right. You were
it was
saying
her.
you was
Yeah, it was her first, so she was a little nervous, but we went to, we researched the shop, like, beforehand, found them on between Pinterest and Instagram, went online, got reviews and stuff. So the man who owned the shop was a little older, probably in his late 60s, and then there was a young guy working with him, and he spoke English, and he was very cheeky, like very funny. And Sissy was very nervous because it was her first one, and she's like, I'm so nervous. You're not nervous at all? I'm like, well, it's my seventh, so I think I'm okay, like, like, I'm okay. And the guy's like, no, you stay nervous. It helps me, the energy, it helps my energy, kind of like teasing her, and trying to, in a way, get her to calm down with, kind of teasing her. But he was very funny, like talking. So he was very cheeky.
would you mind describing what you got for
I
your
can show you. It's a dog, a little
Oh,
puppy. Yeah, you can see it on the camera, but like, yeah, it's a little puppy with a heart above its nose. Yeah.
and this
And
is I
John.
know before you left, we had gone out one night. This is what you had kind of planned, right? You had it
Yeah,
in your
yeah.
mind what you wanted. So was this she's very cute. Is it based off of Thea, your current dog,
Well,
or
as I say, my groomer told me, I have a type. So all my dogs, the dogs I've had 3 dogs since my husband and I are married. Thea is the third. Casey was a purebred Irish setter. Murphy was a German Shepherd Irish Setter mix, but he looked like a black Irish Setter. And Thea is a Golden Irish and a Golden Retriever Irish Setter mix. She's kind of copper colored and looks like an Irish Setter. Kind of a perfect mix of both of them. So they all kind of look alike with the floppy ears. So this dog is kind of all of them, but Thea's going to take credit for it. You know that.
of
She's
course
like,
she's gonna
yeah,
say, Mom, that's me.
yeah, she got a tattoo for me, and she didn't get it for the other one. So yeah, I got my little on my wrist. Being a crazy dog lady is what some of my friends call me, but that's okay.
Oh, I've seen crazier. You're not a
Yeah,
crazy dog lady.
yeah, yeah. I don't carry her around or anything. She's too big for that, so it's not like I
uh
carry her purse.
she is a beauty though. She is a sweetheart, absolute sweetheart. So would you say, I mean, the food was good, obviously. You said the wine was good, all the desserts were good. Did you feel a certain kind of energy that helped inspire? Because now Tina writes spicy, but there are spicier out there, but kind of
Yeah.
spicy romance novels. Was there a certain kind of energy that you felt from over there when you were writing, that would you say, or even just from being in a different place and experiencing different things, that really helped inspire you?
Yeah, I think just the being there and being like, the views are absolutely amazing. I mean, and we were, in this villa overlooking this lake, Lake Trasimeno, which is a big, big lake, a cute little town. And just sitting there, we were sitting in what's the restaurant part of the villa, like in a patio overlooking this, and just being there and kind of, you know, having that different view than my wall I look at normally when I'm for my TV. Sissy and I are talking about doing like a collection of, Italy, kind of putting it together. She's over there for 6 weeks. So
Oh man.
she's in Sicily until, I don't know,
Nice.
mid-June, mid-July with her family. So, I do see maybe next year, the year after, an Italian collection in the works with some authors, but it is very, very inspiring. It's just beautiful. It'd be a beautiful place to set a romance novel for sure.
Oh yeah, definitely. Absolutely. And I always think of that movie. What was it? Under the Tuscan Sun with Diane Lane.
Yeah, we actually went to the house. We went to both houses. Went to the house where it was filmed, and we went to the house of the woman who wrote the book, like outside her, kind of outside her. It's a gated house. Like, she probably has a camera up looking at the people taking their picture outside. So yeah, but yeah, it's a very inspiring place. It is. It's just beautiful.
Yeah. Well, and like you said, even just a change of scenery. I mean, you don't see
Yeah.
this stuff at home. So, but I can only imagine the sunsets and just the
Oh my
beauty
gosh.
out there.
It was, and I said, and I guess, you have it here to the sky and everything, every day I'm taking pictures of this lake, and every day it looked different. I'm taking the same picture, but it looked different every day. The color of the sky, even at night. And like you're saying, the moon, we had a full moon when we were there. So taking pictures, the moon over the lake or coming up, or, it was just amazing.
But I think that's something, and I've always said I will never, and I hope I never lose the wonder that I am one of those people that when you see, I still like stop in awe when I see a deer or a sunset.
Mm-hmm.
Sunsets, I just, I hope I never get to a point where it doesn't amaze me, especially when there are certain colors and beautiful. But
yeah,
I love what you said about how you said it always looked different. And I mean,
yeah.
Sometimes I don't know, maybe people over there, like sometimes when you see something a lot, you kind of lose that interest in it or whatever. But the fact that you could see it differently every single time, and that's that wonder that is so precious for us to have in life. And I think helps creative people because you can always imagine different scenarios. You can always imagine different characters and different ways to make things work out or move forward. So I think that's great to have that inspiration. That's really cool.
Yeah.
So, then it's off to London. Like, geez, Tina, how are you going to handle coming back and I'm just hanging out in Northeast
all summer
PA
long,
writing?
I know. I'll just be here in Scranton. Yeah. Well, let's, too bad it wasn't back in the 70s and 80s where I could say, I could, shop all around the globe and never leave Scranton. I could just go to the Globe store.
Oh my God. Shout out to the Globe. That's awesome.
Showing my age, right?
Hey, I worked there. My first real job.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. It's going to be changing. Like I said, my life isn't this exciting. And this year just kind of happened to fall. And, as you know, I was supposed to stay over there for 3 weeks. I was going to go to the Italy thing and then kind of tool around Europe for a week and then go to the London thing. And then I decided to come home in between. And I'm glad I did. I really am glad I did, because it's kind of nice. Like, it was time to come home. Like, it was time to come home and kind of regroup. So, I like traveling, but I also like coming home. It is nice to be here. And plus I can't take the puppy with me. And she was,
That's right.
Yeah. Can't take the puppy with me. So
you were, I'm sure. No. Yeah. How was that, by the way? Cause I know you said did she go nuts when she saw you for the first time?
My gosh. I got home about midnight on last Saturday, leading into Sunday. And I rented a car, drove, because I flew to JFK. So nobody had to pick me up. I rented a car in JFK and drove home. And I pulled up in front of the house and I left all my stuff in the car, except for my purse. I came in the house and she doesn't even know what to do with herself. Like, she's shaking. She's like licking me. She's on top of me. And I'm sitting on the floor and she's laying on top of me. And then I went onto the chair and she jumped up and was just laying there, and it was so cute because she'd lay there with her head on my chest, and every once in a while look up at me and just look up at me and lick me, like, it's like, oh, you are here. And then she kept sniffing me, and and then I think I'm not exaggerating when I say we sat like that until about 1:30 a.m. So for about an hour and a half she like was on top of me, like just like licking me, and I was petting her, and so yeah, she went crazy.
So dogs do know some kind of time reference, obviously.
I say that all the time. I'm like, she doesn't do that when I go to the store. Like, like when I leave and come back. So she definitely knew that I was gone for an extended period of time. But she was here holding down the fort with the guys.
Yeah.
So.
Well, that was good. Yeah. So mom could get away and get inspired
Yeah.
and write bestsellers so that,
Yeah.
so then
Yeah.
she can get a bigger doghouse or a
She
bigger
can get a
house.
bigger, yeah, she can get more toys because she has no toys.
Yeah, I
So
know, the poor thing.
the
So
poor
what
thing.
would you say, as we get to wrap up here, what are some like of the things that really, I know I asked you about what you took away from meeting the other women and talking about writing and things. What are there, is there anything else that you came home with that you just really like learned or were just excited by or inspired by, or anything else that just from the whole trip? I mean, obviously you saw wonderful things, you had wonderful experiences.
I was just honestly, it was so nice to just, and just talking in general, it was so nice to get away to a different place. And like you're saying, just write and be inspired by a different place. I didn't write as much as I should have, but and it was a war between myself. Like, I need to be working and I'm here. I should be hanging around with these women instead of holding myself up in my room. But that being said, even though I didn't get done what I should have gotten done out there, when I came home, I felt definitely more energized. To get it done. So I just think, visiting somewhere different, especially somewhere like that, like so different than where I live, than here. I just think that it was just very energizing. And then again, getting together with my peer, basically what are my peers who happen to live all over the world. Even though I talk to them almost every day, getting to see them in person and hang out with them for a week. It was really, really, really nice.
So anyone listening who's whether no matter what your field you're in, but if you're interested in getting to writing, having that support group, that peer network, I know that's something that I admire about you, Tina. You take advantage of these opportunities. You meet
Mhm.
women online, have the conversations, you meet in person, go to the workshops, go to things like this. I mean, you're exchanging ideas, but you're also getting that support maybe when you're doubting yourself
Mhm.
or whatever and you're stuck. I mean, that's such a nice thing to have. And here, what was online led to something really wonderful in person, but also the great opportunity for you to see this part of the world. So
Yeah,
that's really
absolutely.
cool.
It was amazing.
Any tips or suggestions, like something that you learned about international travel, like, okay, next time I would do this, or any lessons you learned that you would want to tell people, as far as not writers, but just people who are interested in traveling and traveling internationally, any little takeaways that you'd want to share?
Well, my feet were swollen from the flight, and that was the first time for that. So I bought compression socks for my to London. So I tend to sit in my seat and like not get up. So I would suggest, if you're going on a long flight, get up and walk around, because I did that on the way home, and I did not have the same problem. So that was just caused, as silly as that is, get up,
That's not silly
whatever,
though, because that makes a
yeah,
difference, right?
get up and do the hokey pokey, whatever you have to do. But that was, and then stay hydrated is another one, because I know I'm one. Well, I'm going to be here. um I don't want to drink a lot because I don't want to have to go to the bathroom, or whatever, I don't know. But just stay hydrated and get up and walk around. Everything else, now that everything's all opened up, it was kind of same old as far as the travel goes.
Yeah, everything was okay. You didn't have any problems really.
I didn't have any problem. No, my flight was delayed, I think, on the way home for maybe a half hour. It wasn't too
Oh,
bad.
that's not
But
bad.
that's the thing, like, kind of have patience. I mean, especially now they're talking, as I'm come home and I'm going to be heading out to London. It was on like Good Morning America, and I keep getting emails about, expect flights to be delayed. And I think that's one thing you just kind of have to expect, you know, kind of prepare for the worst and hope for the best, is,
Yeah,
don't go like kind of all angry and like, yeah. So
pack your
I just
patience
kind
so
of go
that
with the flow. I just kind of go with the flow, and it is what it is. But it helps that I have my computer with me so I can work.
yeah, well, and that's a
Oh, an
nice thing.
extra
So
2 hours? That's great.
you're on deadline, so you're gonna get stuff done, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna get stuff done, and I take the time. Writing on the plane is always tricky for me because there's always people looking over my shoulder, and I have found that that's, especially considering what I write. I don't want to be, somebody looking over my shoulder as I write. I guess that's just the nature of the beast. So I do write in the airports more than I write on the plane. I do more planning and stuff on
They're
the
like,
plane.
nipple suck. What
Yeah,
is
I know,
what
what
is
is
that about,
happening?
huh?
Yeah, what is going on in that book? Yeah, words like the words I write tend to catch people's attention, even if they're not sitting there totally enraptured, and then they do get interested. So
Yes, you don't want anyone reading it before it's released too.
yeah.
Back up. Sit back in your seat, son. You'll get
Yeah,
to read
I
this
know. Yeah,
later.
yeah.
All right. Well, I'm so glad for that. Seems like an amazing opportunity. And, Italy was never one that was on my list, but I mean, based on what you're saying, but other friends who have gone who were like literally blown away and just
Mhm.
had the best time. I mean, I think it's, be open to any opportunities to go anywhere because there's so much we can learn from any place we go to and
Really?
and
Yeah.
and see, yeah, and the culture and different things. How, as far as I know, you mentioned it kind of back to normal, business as usual. Did the pandemic, was there any difference? Did it seem like it was regular tourism over there for the most part?
It seemed like it was regular tourism. We did have to wear masks on the plane, and you had to wear masks in the Italian transit and all the trains and stuff like that. You had to wear masks, but I really lucked out because we were supposed to have a negative COVID test before coming home, within 24 hours of coming home, and they lifted that like the week before. They lifted that the Saturday that I was leaving, so I didn't have to do that. And that would have been fine. That was just more something, we were gonna have to, get in our little bus and get into town and take a rapid COVID test. But everything else seemed, pretty normal other than the masks on the planes and the trains. And quite honestly, I kind of like wearing the masks on the planes because I used to always get sick of planes. I was always like, oh, I used
There
to
you
be
go.
one of those nuts. 10 years ago, I'd be there with my Clorox wipes cleaning off the seat. And like, then I had my essential oils like sitting there like sniffing them, like, so I'm not getting, so at least now I have, the mask.
Yeah, so hopefully keep you from getting cold or
Something,
whatever you might pick up.
whatever
Yeah,
you're gonna
whatever.
get, because I
Yeah.
used to get sick. So
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for sharing this. And so, for those who are listening, again, Tina Gallagher, she has the Carolina Wave series, and watch mid to late August. And I know I'll be keeping you guys updated. She will be releasing this new series inspired by the pole dance folks, wonderful women who are empowering. Check that out. And don't be afraid to travel and get outside your comfort zone. As Tina said, she was inspired, re-energized. And I know maybe not all of us can manage to do that, but even if it's just a small trip, a
yeah,
different perspective, I think, can mean a great deal, right?
yeah, yeah, it
Yeah.
was great. And thank you for having me again.
Well, thank you. And where I always like to ask, because I know you know best, where would you like people to direct people if they want to learn more about your books or more about you?
I mean, I'm on all the social medias, but you can go to my website, it'll direct you there. It's tinagallagherbooks.com.
Okay, and your books are of course on Amazon
You're
and
on Amazon,
available
yeah,
in
and Kindle
Kindle,
Unlimited, yeah.
Kindle Unlimited. Right. Okay. So if you're looking for something a little spicy, it's perfect to pair with a glass of wine, whether it's in Italy or here in Scranton, Pennsylvania. Very similar to
Yes,
to Italy.
yes.
Very, very worldly here
We
too.
too
Now,
have wine.
yes, we too have wine here in Scranton, Pennsylvania. And I know I joke, I tease because I am a big fan of the area. And I have been promoting a couple weeks ago and then talking with Marianne from the Lackawanna Historical Society about all the amazing architecture and different things that we do have to appreciate here in Scranton. So if you can't jet off to London or, Tuscany like some people, then check out, honestly, truly check out, do somewhat of a staycation, check out the places that might be new to you, but they're not too far from home. You can still get a different perspective, appreciate the architecture, the people, the art, the music, all of that good stuff, and take the time to sit down, open up a bottle of wine, sit on your back deck, sit on your porch, sit on a patio and look at the sunset. And I know that it will definitely be something that you can appreciate. So thank you again, Tina, for joining me. Watch for Tina's new release. And like I said, I'll be posting about that. And if you enjoy, please remember to subscribe and share the podcast. As always, I like to say I do appreciate you and your support from the bottom of my heart and the bottom of my wine glass.